Okay, so I'm SYoung, and I did my senior project on the ability to heal. Now, I know that may sound a little weird, but through my internship, my research, and my own personal experiences, I've learned and come to realize that our body kind of has a mind of its own and knows when we are injured or have some type of dysfunction within our body and when we need to be healed. And through my internship and my research, I learned that we actually have this thing called the CNS, which is our central nervous system, that actually understands when that happens, and we can actually tell it when our body is hurting, and so we can train it to actually help with those dysfunctions, and you can actually push it faster so it actually happens sooner. Now, in order for me to explain that, I kind of have to go backwards, and for me, beginning is actually around here. When I was 4 years old, I started playing soccer. And so, of course, this wasn't really my decision. My parents signed me up for the Powhatan Youth Soccer Association. And ever since that day that I first started playing, I can't really remember when I was 4, but I love the sport. And it still is a big part of my life today. And actually, it was almost shaping whether or not where I was going to college. And I just couldn't imagine my life today without soccer. And even yesterday, I got home from a soccer game at 8 or 10 o'clock at night. And it's a big part of my life and shaped why I wanted to do the internship that I did. And so basically, of course, this is when I was younger, and this was about a month ago. And so basically, I'm going to explain to you how a soccer game works in case you don't know. So basically, of course, you have perfectly normal games where you just kind of pass the ball around and people consider that boring and nothing really happens. And so far that's so good. This game was good. Nothing happened. I wasn't hurt, which actually happens a lot to me. And we were just passing the ball around. And then other times stuff like that happens. And you start to fall. You start to tumble. You don't know what's going to happen. You could hurt your ankle. You could hit your head. I've actually had a concussion from just hitting the soccer ball too many times during a wet game. And so then comes the worst part, and that is when you fall. And that hurts. And obviously, that was painful for me, but luckily, I did not get hurt, like, majorly in this situation, nor did we get scored on. So technically, it was all in all a good day for me, besides this part, obviously. And it led me to more, and this is just kind of an example of me playing soccer and how I kind of came across my internship. And so basically, personally, I've had 2 major injuries kind of shape my life. And my first is my freshman year playing soccer, I fractured my L5 vertebrae in my back. And I was out of soccer for about a month and a half, surprisingly actually, because I thought it was going to be way longer. And I was in a back brace for about a month and a half, and it ruined my summer because I couldn't go swimming, I couldn't play the sport I love to play every day, and it just really hindered my experience that year. And luckily, I healed and I went to physical therapy, and within, so I hurt myself in around July, and that September I was playing soccer again, and everything was fine, and I had no recurring problems with my back. And next comes the most common injury, personally, I believe, in soccer, and that is a twisted, sprained, or just some type of messed up ankle. And this is actually kind of funny because that is my worst injury I've ever had, and that is probably the most simple, basic injury I've ever had, and that is what led me to my internship. I messed up my ankle about a year and a half ago today, or not today, but a year and a half ago, and I was playing soccer. And so I thought I just twisted my ankle, thought I'd go home, thought I'd recover, be back the next day, and I woke up the next day and I couldn't put any weight on. I couldn't walk, I couldn't move, and I didn't know what it was. And I went to the doctor, they said it was just some type of sprain, and I was gone in like a month and a half. So I got a cast on, I had crutches, and I was walking around the house, well, not walking, but I was crutching around the house. And basically, it was a horrible time for me in that month and a half because, of course, I couldn't play soccer again just like when I had my back problem. But when I came back, I went to physical therapy. And I went to physical therapy for a solid 6 to 8 weeks. And they wouldn't help me. They couldn't help me. And I was not healing. I was not feeling better. I did go back to soccer a few times, and each time I just had the same reoccurring problem with my left ankle. And it was extremely painful and extremely aggravating for me to work so hard in physical therapy and at home and just recover for so long and still have this pain. And so I started the high school soccer season last year with this ankle injury. I didn't even go to tryouts because I couldn't even bear weight on it at first. And that actually led me to my internship mentor, Dr. Leonard May, or Kappa Rehab of Richmond. And when I first met Dr. Mayer, I didn't know what to expect because he worked on my mom, he worked on my sister. Both of them had different types of injuries. And so I walked into his office not knowing what to expect and just thought, hey, I should just go back to physical therapy because they've helped me before and they help me now. But I went to Kappa Rehab to talk to Dr. Mayer and just see what he could do for me and see how he could help me. And I walk in there, he brings me into one of the rooms, he asked me to take my shoes and socks off, he asked me to take my shirt off, and honestly, I had no clue what to expect. And so he lays me down on this table, and I just start being touched in like my knee, my back, and my neck, and I just had no idea what he was doing or what was going on. And basically, I still don't. It's annoying, and even after all my research, I understand what he did, but I don't understand how. And the thing was, I went in that day with a pain level 7 to 8, and I left with a pain level 1 to 2. And he worked on me for a solid hour and a half, which is usually the standard first time it works on you. And I just had no idea what he was doing or how he did it. And so that led me to my internship. So this man helped me get back to soccer last year, and I wanted to almost thank him by working with him and trying to understand what he did. So I went an internship with him for about 40 hours and just kind of shadowed and watched what he did. And he gave me some pamphlets to read and for all these big words I didn't understand. And so it was really frustrating for me to have this internship and work so hard with this man and not really understand what he taught me and what he did. And but it was still a really good life lesson to learn, and I really enjoyed my internship with him. So that eventually led me to research, my research question. But I first had to research what he was doing, and that was DNS. Or he led me to the term DNS. And when I first Googled DNS, I came up across some computer program. Obviously, that wasn't what he was doing. So then I had to do some more research. I went to capitalrehab.com. I went to all these different types of websites, and he had links, luckily, in his own website so that I could figure out what he was doing. And that led me to the term DNS, Dynamic Neuromuscular Stabilization. I still have no idea what that is. So I did more research, and luckily, I eventually came across the term developmental kinesiology and core stability, and still didn't really know what that meant. So I had to do more research, and luckily, I finally came across a definition for DNS, dynamic neuromuscular stabilization. It is based on developmental kinesiology that focuses on core stability in order to help with proper movement and function. Now, developmental kinesiology is obviously the first part, and that is how a baby learns to walk from when they're born to about a year old. And obviously, babies don't move with pain unless they're crying, but when a baby learns to walk, it takes them a while, and of course their brain is first starting to learn and they're starting to figure out how to move. And basically the way that DNS works is that you almost retrain your central nervous system, CNS, to relearn how to walk and move without pain. And so that is why Dr. Mayer helped me when I had my ankle injury, because he didn't even focus on my ankle when I first came in. He focused on my core stability and how to move properly. And so there's another example of Dr. Mayer, just being Dr. Mayer. And he was this arrogant New York person that I just didn't really know how to work with at first. And at the end, he became one of my best friends and actually wrote a recommendation letter for me for the college that I decided to go to. And so that led me to my research question, because Rico said DNS wasn't enough. So I had to figure out the difference between dynamic neuromuscular stabilization and physical therapy, because obviously Dr. Mayer helped me when the physical therapist couldn't. So after a lot of research and a lot of dictionary.com, I learned that DNS is obviously developmental kinesiology, how a baby learns to walk, and focusing on core stability to improve movement. And physical therapy, on the other hand, just focuses on heat treatment and exercises for your impaired or dysfunction area. So when I went to the physical therapist, they focused on my ankle. When I went to Dr. Mayer, he focused on my core. Now, after all this research and everything I learned, I went to Dr. Mayer and told him what I found. I figured out that DNS was way different. It was this new strategy to rehabilitation medicine, and he immediately corrected me and said, no, DNS is physical therapy. So that just obviously sent me way back to the beginning. And in the end, DNS is physical therapy. It's just a new branch and a new idea that actually just came around in the 1990s, created by Dr. Pavel Polar, who implemented the works of Dr. Carl Levitt, who created developmental kinesiology and the idea, and Wojta, who created proper locomotion, which is just how to move without pain. So that is Dr. Mayer, and that was my internship. So that led me to my community service, and the office manager at Calvary Rehab, whose name is Diego Alejandro, who I will be working with on May 25th, as well as Mr. Scott St. John of Tuckahoe Family Practice YMCA, to create a seminar/class for senior citizens, which I figured out they wanted to be called active adults because that was just more polite. And we'll be having a class and seminar to help them with proper movement and function, just as Dr. Mayer taught me and how he's treated and helped so many other people. That's Tuckahoe Family YMCA, and I've talked to Mr. St. John Scott, and he has told me that beyond this, we can go beyond Tuckahoe Family Practice. We can actually work with other organizations over the summer, as well as Goochland YMCA, other YMCAs, and other senior centers to just help with proper movement and function. And the reason that senior citizens mean so much to me is actually my own parents. I'm two of them. These, of course, are all my other siblings and their spouses. And my parents, unfortunately, are a little bit older than most, but they mean the world to me, and they both suffer from arthritis in their body, and they cannot move sufficiently day to day without a little bit of pain here or there. And I mean, I love them to death, and I don't know how to help them personally. And so, luckily, my dad's too stubborn. Not luckily, but my dad's too stubborn to go to Dr. Mayer. But my mom luckily went around last year, and since then, she's made so much progress, and she has been able to move and garden again and just do day-to-day activities that I just couldn't imagine her doing 5 years ago. And so Dr. Mayer has just helped me out so much that I would just love to help the community out and kind of teach the world what this man has given Virginia, at least for now. So my future plans, I plan on attending University of North Carolina at Wilmington. I'm not entirely certain what I'm going to study. I assume physical therapy will at least be part of it, because I did enjoy my experience with Dr. Mayer, although it may not necessarily be DNS, because that's a very specific field and it's very hard to get into. My advice to rising juniors would be to, just like everyone else has said, is to do your internship in the summer, because if I hadn't done that in the summer, then I wouldn't have been able to do it at any other time because of sports and everything else. So my last thing I kind of want to point out is a quote from my father. I don't honestly know if he stole this from anyone, so I hope not. But he basically told me every day growing up that figure out what you do, what you love, and find a way to make a living at it. This will bring you happiness, and to me, define success. So that's just kind of what I base my life around, and I would just love to be able to fulfill his dream for me and my family. No questions.
So, in your research about DNS and conventional therapy, what are some of the significant findings that you made in terms of those differences?
Differences?
Yeah, in terms of outcomes or
well, of course, I went to a DNS website because obviously physical therapy wouldn't have the DNS side of it,
right.
And they were all biased towards DNS being better, and so I personally believe that DNS helps more because it doesn't necessarily just because DNS helps you become your own personal trainer, and it kind of helps you move better in day-to-day life activities. And it's like, it's more teaches you how to move properly rather than just treat your injured area, I guess. Brandon.
For different kinds of injuries, like if you like break your leg, or you get like amputated for some reason, would physical therapy or DNS, would different injuries be more beneficial than one or the other?
It honestly just depends on preference, because like DNS is very limited, especially in Virginia. Dr. Mayer was one of 40 people who were originally signed up to go to the School of Prague to actually learn from Kolar, who created it. So it really depends on you, and if you want to go do him and try it out, because a lot of people are nervous and don't really want to try something new.
Do you think it could possibly have been both physical therapy and DNS that work well together, because focusing on part and then recalibrating everything is a standard method in lots of different studies. Once you fix the problem area, you recalibrate the whole system. Do you think they might work well together besides just being?
Well, DNS, so basically, if you have a problem and you go to Dr. Mayer, for example, he would originally, you would tell him that your problem in your ankle, for me, for example, and when I first went in, he honestly just worked with me for breathing, for proper breathing in my core for the first half hour of my hour and a half treatment. And then after that, he focused on trigger points and other things in the body, like he was doing in those pictures, to just kind of help my CNS just relearn how and like where my injury is. And then basically you would work on that for like a few sessions, and probably like 3 to 4 times. You'd probably go like every other day for a week, or for a couple weeks. And then eventually he would actually get to your ankle. So he would eventually treat your ankle, except first he almost has to bring the pain to your core, but he's not like bringing the pain, but he's like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Somewhat.
Mark?
Is Dr. Mayer the only person in Virginia who does DNS?
In Virginia, yes. But the cool thing about DNS is it's always expanding, and actually just like a month ago, he went to Phoenix to learn more about a new technique that they're using. So,
Thank you.
and most of the time,